Us now, Congressman Ted Lieu is here. He's a Democrat on the House Judiciary and Foreign Affairs Committees. Good evening, sir. So glad to have you on. Let's start with the big breaking.
Thank you, Don.
Absolutely. Let's start with the big breaking news stories. Okay, I want to ask you about the report in the Washington Post that the Trump companies have fired 18 different undocumented workers at 5 different golf courses over the last 2 months. This, of course, while the president is claiming zero tolerance at the border, trying to build a wall.
It is unfortunate that the Trump organization fired these 18 workers. They relied on them to generate a profit. There's no evidence they were bad workers. And what we see is politics getting in the way, and it's really harming the livelihoods of these 18 people. In addition, it's difficult for Congress to deal with this president when he doesn't rely on the same facts that everybody else does. So if you just look at basic facts, we know that border crossings are at a 20 to 45-year low. Violent and property crime were down across the United States, and immigrants, both documented and undocumented, commit less crime than native-born Americans.
Yeah, I don't think he could keep them on. Do you think he should have kept them on if once it came out they were employing undocumented workers?
I think it would have been politically impossible for him to do that, yeah. But it does show that his organization was relying on people who were helping them generate a profit. There's no evidence they weren't doing a good job.
Yeah. In a statement released within the last hour, the Trump organization says that they'll be instituting the E-Verify system moving forward. But I want you to listen to this. This is from the 2016 campaign.
What are we going to do about illegal hiring? Because the Republicans joined the Democrats and said in that bill a couple of years ago, we're going to stop illegal hiring.
Well,
because that's the magnet.
That with E-Verify and with the various
are you for
methods.
it?
I'm for it. I use it. You know, I'm using E-Verify on just about every job at Doral. I'm using it, but I'm using it on the building, the old post office on Pennsylvania Avenue that I'm building into what will soon be a phenomenal hotel.
But isn't
I'm using E-Verify.
Clearly, they weren't using E-Verify, even though the president said that they were. Why do you think that is?
Right. Again, this is all politics for the president. But right now, we've got over 10 million undocumented people in the United States. And what we need is a pathway to citizenship so that these 18 people at the Trump organization could continue working at their jobs without fear of being fired. Because if you don't have these 10 to 11 million people working, then you've got an even larger problem. And so what we need is a pathway to citizenship, put everyone to work, and that will both grow our economy and also be the right thing to do.
The president's inaugural committee has been subpoenaed by federal prosecutors, and they are looking into allegations of conspiracy against the U.S., false statements, mail fraud, wire fraud, money laundering, inaugural committee disclosures, violations, and laws prohibiting contributions by foreign nations and contributions. Wow. In the name of
yes.
Contributions in the name of another person. I wanted to make sure we got that in there. That's a lot. What's your reaction?
I have 2 reactions. The first is it sure does look like everything Donald Trump touches becomes tainted with corruption. And second, this is an independent investigation run separately from Special Counsel Mueller's office. It's out of the Southern District of New York. These are seasoned prosecutors. They're going to look at whether federal crimes were committed and want to see how the investigation goes. I'm on the House Judiciary Committee. We're also going to be conducting our own investigations to see what the president may or may not have known related to a whole bunch of different possible activities. We'll certainly be looking at this in the future as well.
Yeah, the president spoke with CBS yesterday. This is what he told them about the possibility of being impeached. Watch this.
The only way they can win, because they can't win the election, is to bring out the artificial way of impeachment. And the problem is you can't impeach somebody for doing the best job of any president in the history of our country for the first 2 years. It's supposed to be high crimes and misdemeanors. Well, there was no high crime. There was no misdemeanor. There was no problem whatsoever.
So he seemed to be saying that he couldn't be impeached because he's doing such a good job. But a new CNN poll found that only 40% of the country approves of the job that he's doing. Still, you know, popularity or the lack thereof is not and never has been the standard for impeachment, correct?
That's correct. Impeachment is not about winning or losing elections. It's about whether or not the President of the United States committed federal crimes, what to do about it if he, in fact, did that. So in the House Judiciary Committee, we're going to hold hearings this year to look at that record. We don't have a record right now. What we have are different newspaper articles. We've got statements made on television. We need to have witnesses come in under oath, give testimony. We're going to subpoena documents. And at the end of all of that, there'll be a record for the American people to see, and then we can make a decision as to what to do from there.
He also told CBS that he's going to be leaving the decision to publicly release the special counsel's final report to the Attorney General, which is likely to be his nominee, William Barr. Is he setting up Barr to take the heat if Mueller's report is never released to the public?
It is highly disturbing that Mr. Barr seems to think that he doesn't have to release the Mueller report. I don't see how politically that's possible. This is probably going to be one of the most important documents in U.S. history. And for the American people to not be able to see it would simply be untenable. In addition, Democrats in Congress do have subpoena power. We could also just subpoena different people involved with the special counsel office to come in and talk. So there are different ways to get this information out. The best way is to simply have special counsel Mueller's report made public.
Thank you, Congressman Lieu. Always